Hello students, welcome to Online Study for You, one-step solution for all your placement needs. So in this video, I am going to discuss Python top 15 interview questions which are being asked in all the placement interviews, that is in TCS, Cognizant and also in Wipro, because it is being conducted in some of colleges also right now. So here I'll be discussing top 15 interview questions so that you can prepare them well and ace in your interview. These questions we have combined because these are mostly asked, right? So before starting, I would like to share with you one important detail here. Okay, so we are starting with live online classes from tomorrow. Yes, so there will be aptitude classes as well as coding classes, not only for upcoming Wipro and LTH, but also all the placement examinations, right? There are also some other classes also about English and Python along with projects. We'll discuss it later on. So we are starting with it from tomorrow. The free coding class tomorrow we are having at 5 p.m. and aptitude class by Prateek Srivastava sir at 8 p.m. Right. So tomorrow's class is like a demo class. It is a free class. You all can attend. What you have to do, you have to just register in the link. So registration link is in video description. You can see below, or you can also go to our Instagram channel and in the bio section, you can get the registration link. You can register because we'll be having it on a video conferencing any tool. So we'll be sharing with you the link, the invite link for the meeting so that you can join live class where you can live ask questions, you can solve queries because on YouTube, it's not that possible. Even on live videos you are writing comment but it's not that easy to explain, right? But in live classes we'll be there so we'll be solving your queries at that very same time, right? So as I told, the video conferencing software will be using anyone, will be sharing you the link. Once if you have registered, then only you will be getting the link for this free class that is tomorrow. And then for after tomorrow, as you can see, at a very nominal price for 1 month, as you can see, for aptitude section, master aptitude and reasoning, right? Quants, reasoning, everything included at just rupees 299, but the seats are limited so that you should register as soon as possible, right? And the demo class we are having tomorrow, and for coding for Wipro NLTS and also all the placement examinations, we are including everything there. It is a very process class. Would be we'll be starting with the basics and we'll be growing to the previously asked questions and the most asked questions also. Will be including all the things, all questions asked. So the free class is tomorrow, and then we will be starting with a nominal price of 199 for it only. We are also having a separate package if you are taking all these classes. Like if you are taking the complete package, there is special offer also which you will get, if you go to the registration link and you can register there. You will get, about the details regarding that also. Okay, so this is a certified course. It is not a normal course. It is a certified course. You will be getting a certification at the end of this course. Okay, so that you can also use it in your CV, because even if you write like you are known to Python, then it's okay. But if you are good at Python or any other language, C, Java, and if you mention that yes, I have also done some course on it, then it also creates a weightage in your CV, because then they will think that yes, not only you have a proficiency but you have also a passionate about this thing and you have done so many training and these courses also, right? Then there will be doubt clearance sessions will be also there in the 1 month, because if like you learned something but at home when you are trying, you are doing the homework which is given or you are doing something, right, practice problem, and you find some problem, so you can discuss, because in next class it might be not possible because we are having other questions also. So there will be separate doubt clearance session also. If your query is still not resolved, then we can having a separate session where we will resolve dot those questions. Okay, but you have to register now because the seats are limited, so you should apply now as soon as possible. The registration link is in video description. The timings will be flexible. When you will be registering, you will get to know that there are separate timings. We are having different batches, So you can opt for your flexible timing if in the registration form you find that the timing mentioned is not like even there are 4 to 5 batches, that's not according to you. Then in the like there is a section also where you can tell, like you can write it what is the suitable timing, because so that we can create a separate batch according to that, right? But you have to register as soon as possible. As I've told you, registration link is in the video description box and also in Instagram bio. So when you click on the link, you will get a form like this. I've just taken a screenshot where it is a long form. There are 5 to 6 details you have to fill. It's not complete visible here, right? So email address, name, and the links is available in video description. Okay, so now let's start with the main agenda of this video. What was that? Python top 15 interview questions which are being asked in TCS, Cognizant, and Wipro interviews also, because at in some colleges Wipro has started their session and the interviews are also being conducted. So latest Python version, many students they are having so much experience, they are doing data science course and those things, but they are not known what is the latest Python version. Most of you will say, let me just take this marker so that I can, okay, I've chosen the marker. So most of you will say that it would be like Python 3.6 or 3.8, but very recently in the, I think 2 to 3 months back, the latest version which is launched, that is 3.9. So 3.9 is the Python latest version. When you will say this, they might also ask that what is the changes, what are the things updated. Then you can tell that there are some changes in date time module also, because now the date which will be told to you will not be UTC timing, but according to your means where you are living. Also, there are some more functions which are added to dictionary, right? So those are for merging the dictionary, and there are some more, so you can check it out. So this is about the latest Python version. Then what are mutable and immutable data type? This is the most common question, and we'll be discussing this also. So you might be asked to tell about what are mutable data types, what are immutable, and what are those. So mutable data types are those where we can make some changes. Okay, and immutable where we cannot edit, we cannot modify, right? They are not mutable. So mutable data types are list, okay, set, then we have dictionary also. Okay, and immutable data types are string and tuple, right? So in string and tuple, modification is not possible, it will give an error, while in list, set, and dictionary, modification is possible. We can update the elements, and that's why they are called as mutable. Then okay, one more mostly asked question, list versus tuple. Okay, so what is difference between list and tuple? Yeah, I already told you in the previous one. Let me just make a line. In list is mutable and tuple is immutable, means we cannot modify it, right? Then the object literal for list is this square brackets, while for tuple, most of you will say that it's parenthesis, but it's not only parenthesis, because if you write something like a equals 2 comma 3, if you have written anything separated by comma, then it will be also means considered as tuple, right? Or if you like it in write it in this way, then also it is a tuple. Or if you write it in this way, 2 comma only, then also it is a tuple. So these are called as object literals. I'm writing here. He might ask, if he'll be going in very deep, that what are object literals? Object literals are nothing but they define the objects. So if it's a square brackets, so it means for lists, object literal is square brackets, and for tuples, object literal is this parenthesis or separated by comma. Then Java versus Python. If you have written this, no, I don't think it will be asked to all, but those who have written Java and Python both, or if they have mentioned both of the skills in the object-oriented system and in Python, so this question will be asked: what are the some differences which can you tell about Java and Python? So I'll be telling you some here, and you can search about more in depth in some websites, right? So in Java, what it is, that file name is same as class name. Okay, and while we are working in Python and we are doing something with oops, then it's not anything like this mandatory. Like the file name should be same as class name. Then in Java, operator overloading is possible. Okay, but not in Python. Then in Java, multiple inheritance is not possible, while it's possible in Python. Now, most of you who have the deep knowledge, they will say that no, no, all that multiple inheritance is possible by using instances or something, right? But you don't means that's also possible in Python also, that overloading by default is not possible, but using some modules or some other tricks, it is made possible that we can have. So yeah, we can use it as in difference, because by default it's not provided as a feature, but somehow we are able to use it. Then C versus Python. So if it's C versus Python or any other language, C versus any other language which supports oops, like if it's as C versus Python or C versus Java, anything like that, what you can do, that first you can simply compare that they support oops or not. Like C does not support object oriented programming concepts, right, while the Python supports or Java supports. Then you can say that indentation is not mandatory here in C, while in Python, you know, the indentation is very of high importance, because when, right, for example, when we are working with these loops, we write like sorry, we write like for x in the range, and then whatever inside this loop, we don't have to use here braces, but we have to give some space, like a tab space, 2 space, 4 space, or 8 space, and we have to write all the things which are inside this loop in the same space in this indentation. So indentation has a high importance in Python. Similarly, you can also use some other differences also you can write here, or you can tell the interviewer. Then generating functions. Generating functions are nothing but like any function is there in Python. Suppose it's a function define fun. Okay. And instead of written, if it's written that, so instead of return, we have yield here. Okay. So how we create generating function? You have to do nothing, just create any function, but instead of return, we have to write yield, and then the value of what we have to return. So any function, if it's having yield as a keyword not written, then it's a generating function. Then how it is different from normal function? It is different that it returns an object. It does not return the all the actual value, but it returns object, right? And the most important thing is that, suppose like here I am writing a normal function, define fun something. Okay, suppose it is doing x equals to x plus 2 and return x, suppose. And here let's say that in global scope it was written x is 1. So what will happen? X will become 3 and 3 will be returned, right? Then again, if this function will be called, again 3 will be returned. Again if called, again 3 will be returned. But when we are working with generating function, it stores the value. So because, so what will happen in this case? 3 will be here, then again it will store the value. Like what was the previous value? 3 was the previous value, so it will, then output would be 5, then the output would be 7. It means it stores whatever it has written last time, which is not available in normal functions. Then lambda, it is like a special kind of function, which is one liner function, right? And it is mostly used with filter, like we know higher order functions, which are map, filter, and reduce. Map, reduce, and filter. Okay, so these are one liner function and they don't have any written value. So they, what gives it, they work as like you can say argument to any other function, or taking any value. Like what we write it like lambda x is x plus 5 or something like this, and then it is used by the filter value whichever written here. because filter is like here the conditions and here the actual value or list whatever here. Okay, then arcs and quarks. So what are these and what they do, I'll be discussing. So suppose there is any function, okay, which is taking multiple values and doing some task. Here we are calling this function, but there would be at some instances, like suppose there is a database where we are entering mobile numbers or feeding something like that. Suppose that it's not like necessary that how many entries will be there at a time, because suppose it's not like strict, like suppose it would be like only one argument that is passed, or possible that there are two argument passed, or more than three, more than four. It means number is not fixed. So when this problem is there, that what how many arguments will be there, we use arcs. Okay, arcs, which is called as, I will write it here, this below it, positional arguments. Okay, so what will happen, that if we write here arcs, so whatever values are given from here, it gets saved into arcs as a list. So if we write here only star and arcs, so whatever values transferred from here, zero, sorry, not zero, one, two, three, or many, these are all saved in arcs as a list. And if we want to access them, this first argument we can access by writing arcs 0. Second argument we can access by writing, means we have to just consider that args is the list which is containing all the elements which were all the arguments which were passed. Okay, so these are positional arguments. One very important thing, that this args is not any keyword. The thing which is important when we are working with this is this asterisk. Asterisk is mandatory, and then you can write anything here. Suppose even if you write here your name, okay, even then it will work. So args is not any keyword. Star is the main thing which is used to define it. Okay, here are the positional arguments being used. Here you can use anything. In place of args, you can even write your name or anything. Then what are kwargs? So these are, kw means keyworded arguments. It means when the arguments which are passed are in dictionary type, like, right, like key value pairs are there. So these can be passed in any manner. Means it's not necessary that first argument which you want at first place should be at first place only. These are key value pairs, so they will be considered only on basis of keys. When you are using keyworded arguments, you have to consider this args or whatever the name is. In positional arguments, you considered it as list. Here you have to consider it as dictionary. So now suppose you have to know that what's the value at the key. Suppose say the key is age. So you will write like this, and here you will get the desired answer. So these are the args and kwargs, which are actually positional arguments and keyworded arguments. And here again, kwargs is not any keyword. You can write anything here. The thing important is this double asterisk when we are working with keyworded arguments. Now, ways to insert elements in a list. The very first manner is, if you are already having any list, then you can simply like you can change anything, like if at position 3 that is denoted by 2, because we know it, the list starts from indexing 0, then we can replace it. One is this manner. Second is list dot index. Okay, and using this index functions, in index function we can insert any element. Then we also have list dot append function. Here we can write list dot append 5, and at the end of list, suppose list is having these elements 1 2 3 4, then whatever is used with this append function will be added at the end of list. Then we also have a function at extend, but extend is used to add a list, completely a different list into our list, or we can call it as concatenation of two lists. So that can't be said that they use. So these three are the ways through which we can insert any element in list. Now slicing. So this is our 10th important question. Slicing, or it's also called as creating substrings. Okay, so what is slicing? Suppose it's written that this is taking a variable name, and we are taking a name as Rahul. Now I will show you what happens by slicing. So suppose we are I will write here as Rahul, and in square bracket I write it like this, 0 to 2. Okay, so now what will happen, the name will become, if you will print this name, the output will be RA. Because what happened, this is, it is similarly like what we use with range, starting value, ending value, right? It's not actually ending because the last one is excluded, ending plus one value, and the increment decrement whatever we want. So similarly like range, this slicing will also work. Difference is that here we have square brackets and we have to write whatever we are slicing, we have to write here. So we have to slice this name starting from 0, okay, from 0th index, because we know this is 0 1 2 3 4 until 2, but 2 means it will not include 2, only till 1. So 0 and 1, RA is printed. So this is called slicing or substring. Slicing can not only be done in string, but also it's possible in list also, and in other data structures also. Then a very easy question, but you might get fixed, you might not be able to answer that what is the actual output, because it's actually easy, but you might be not knowing it. What is default input data type of Python? So default input data type is string in case of Python. So suppose if you are writing, taking a variable n and you're just writing as like this input. Okay, you have not mentioned it, you have not done typecasting or anything. If you have just written as n equals to input, then if you will check, sorry, if you use this type function which tells about data type of the object, and if you write like this type n, and if you print it, okay, so the answer would be string, because by default the input data type, input anything is considered as string. Then now we'll be discussing about some key features of Python. So when it's asked, it's not necessary that you mention 5 or 6 features. You can just tell about two or three features, but I'll be telling you here around 4 to 5. So the first one, you can tell that Python is an interpreted language. So unlike languages like C and the other variants of C, Python does not need to be compiled before it's run. Okay, then Python is dynamically typed. First one is interpreted. Second is it's dynamically typed language. It means that we don't need to state the types of variables when we are using it. We can directly use it. Okay, this we are knowing it already. Then Python supports OOPS concept. This is known to us, and then you can tell this, yes, it supports everything: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. It does not only supports in polymorphism, it does not supports operator overloading. But by using a library named as multiple dispatch, we can use, means we can perform overloading operation in Python. Okay, then Python writing codes in Python is very quick. Okay, then the indentation feature helps in better code readability. I'm just mentioning it here, code readability, or you can say in debugging also. So these are some of the features which you can mention when if asked that what you know about Python and why Python, what are the features of Python. Then Python is compiled or interpreted. I just told you in the previous question, I included it in features, that Python is an interpreted language. So the errors which will be coming, you will be get to know line by line, because it will be possible that an error came, you solve it, and again on the where some lines after it, again when you are running it, you are again getting an error, because unlike C, it's not compiled completely. It works line by line and gives error whenever it finds one. Then what is PEP? So this is a question. So PEP is Python enhancement proposal. Okay, so these are nothing but some the current one is, I think, PEP 8 or 9, you can check it. Okay, so this is nothing but some standard way how to write code, because when you are working in corporate world, you cannot just randomly write anything. You cannot write if you're not giving indentation, or what indentation we are using, 4 space, 8 space, and there are several other standard ways also. So it just it tells about the standard way how you have to write or approach to when we are writing code of Python, then in what way we have to write so that it's understandable across the globe wherever Python is being used. Then case sensitivity and type conversion, like C, Python is also case sensitive language, right? So if you're writing print and if you're writing in capital print, these two things are different. This is called as case sensitivity because this is lowercase, uppercase. Case sensitivity means different case, the thing it will give error. So that's what it's called as case sensitivity. Yes, Python is case sensitive language. Then type conversion, yes, it's possible in Python. Just a few questions ago, we just did this. So what if we want to take input as an integer? What we do? We write int here and then take input so that whatever the number which is entered by user, it's not considered as string but integer. Okay, so this is called as typecasting. When you're working with C, it is most this term is used, typecasting. Otherwise, type conversion, you can call it anything. Just it's nothing but changing the data type, converting data type. That's what type conversion, or it's called also called as typecasting. So here is the all the this was the last question, 15th question. These are the top 15 questions which are being mostly asked in TCS, also asked in TCS code Vita questions. It's also being asked in ongoing NQT code, NQT interviews, ongoing Cognizant interviews, and also in some of the Wipro interviews also, because in some colleges it is being conducted. So thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you like this video. If there is any suggestion or any comment, if you have made any error or something, you can comment it down. Any query, you can comment it down. Please register in that course. The link is in description box, description box, so you can register it from there, because tomorrow there is a free class, so you can have a look also at how the class is going to be. Actually, it's like a bit demo class. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll be meeting in our next video. Till then, keep learning.